right, so once upon a time, not too long ago, I was the horticulture educator for Eau Claire County UW Extension, and I did that for nearly 10 years. So this is a picture of my office, a very science-based approach to information. So during the growing season, I was doing, as you can see here, I was growing things. I had to answer horticulture inquiries from the general public, provide horticulture information by writing articles, appearing on the local news, and just holding classes. And then during the dormant season, I would write grants to fund some of the projects that I'm going to show you here in the next few slides. I would host Master Gardener volunteer trainings to train people gardening techniques so that they could help with some of the outreach programs I was doing in the community. And then of course there was always making plans for next year and all the reporting that came with it as a state and county and federal employee, all those wrapped into one. So I did this for nearly 10 years and got lots of great experience from doing that. I worked on a lot of different kind of community garden projects. So not only was I teaching people like in classroom settings, but I was also out in the field teaching people, getting hands-on experience. This is a neighborhood park youth garden, and in partnership with volunteers in the community and with the Master Gardener volunteers and nutrition educators, we were able to teach youth how to grow nutritious foods and snacks and how to prepare them right out of the garden. And so I actually helped, plant these things. I had volunteers helping me take care of them. I was taking care of them. So not only did I, just help train people, but I got experience throughout the growing season working on these projects too. So this was a really fun garden project that I helped with, get that pergola set up and a little bit of a teaching space there in the middle. And so it was really a successful raised garden bed system that we had going on there. And then I had this wonderful opportunity to create a teaching garden around my building. It was just this horrible rock and it was rock and shrubs is all it was. And things were not doing so well and nobody was really taking care of it. So in partnership with a lot of volunteers and got some grant money, we tore that whole thing out and we set up this awesome teaching garden to show people various ways that they can do gardening, no matter what kind of space they had or what kind of containers or what kind of budget they had. So we tried to show some low cost options for growing gardens. And this was so much fun for me to have outside my office because then I was able to go out there and actually see what was going on at the time of the season. And then if the news came or something and wanted information about something, I could take them right out there and show them something. Oh, somebody's saying we see that all the time. We go to the library. Yes, I'm not in this capacity anymore as a horticulture educator. I resigned my job about a year ago, and that was to take care of my daughter. She was very ill at the time, and I needed to spend time taking care of her. And so I left that job to take care of her. And now we do some online school at home and I help her with schooling and I do my business. So it was a great position, but it's been about a year since I've been there. So I'm just giving you kind of an overview, a visual overview of the type of experience that I have before I get into the details of these successful gardening tips, because I want you to know that, who is this person who is giving this gardening information. I just want to give you my background so you can decipher if you want to trust me and the information that I'm providing you. I always appreciate the background of my teachers, especially in herbalism. I teach that with my other e-courses is to figure out how to know who to trust and where to get your information from. So what you see here is that I myself have my own gardens. I've been gardening for years and years, from anything from raised garden beds that you see here on the left of the screen, and on the right bottom, a container garden. I've done container gardening for quite some time, especially when I was moving around in my undergraduate years. And then I do the, traditional in-ground garden method too. So I have flowers and perennials, vegetables, herbs, all kinds of things. And then things pop up in my yard that most people may think are weeds, like the mullein that's in this yellow patch of irises. That beautiful mullein grew there one year, and I knew that was a great herbal remedy plant, so I let that thing grow and grow and grow, and it got super tall. So I've had lots of experience with my garden as well. So this is a wonderful picture. I have these little smiley faces on here because I don't want these children need to have their anonymity, and I don't have their permission right now to show their faces, although we did at the time. But I just wanted to show how I work with a wide range of ages and experience backgrounds. So for this lessons that I'm giving here today, they really are geared for anybody at any stage of their learning of gardening. So just wanted to let you know that. So much fun to work with the young ones. And then my typical day in the growing season here, when the start of the growing season, I would have a van full of all sorts of gardening things that I needed to help plant the different various gardens that I was taking care of and doing programming in. And then there's the teaching. I certainly have been doing workshops through my business, my Full Circle Herbals business, teaching people about how to grow or how to make herbal remedies and how to use them and what they're for. So I just wanted to let you know that I have such a wide variety of teaching experiences. So I also did some, very technical things as undergraduate lab assistant, graduate teaching assistant, and also through my business and the university extension office. And like I said, I've been in classrooms, I've been outside, I've been in barns, I've been all over the place giving different kinds of help to people looking for horticulture-based information. So the information that I would provide people would range anything from help with soil fertility to insect and disease management of shrubs and trees, and learning how to start a garden or to revive an old garden and to start community gardens and all those types of things. And then I moved into herbal coaching, teaching, helping people figure out which herbs are going to help them for their particular health wellness goals, for their particular ailments. So I just provide information to them so that they can make some decisions if they want to add any herbal remedies into their plan. And then the quick information here about education. I'm not going to go on and on about all of this, but I just wanted to let you know where some more of my background comes from. So bachelor's in geography, but I emphasize natural resource management, which is also very plant focused. And then a graduate, a master's degree from the University of Wisconsin-Madison in environmental studies. And then I also focused on ethnobotany. I got to kind of tailor my curriculum to what I wanted to focus on. Then I did lots of training with Green Wisdom School of Natural and Botanical Medicine. It's a local herbalist here. She travels kind of the Great Lakes region. And not only did I do a master herbalism program with her, but I did several other courses with her too. So that was, got a lot of information that way. And then currently I'm in the Science and Art of Herbalism by Rosemary Gladstar. It's an online program, and it's a lot of fun that way too. So the other ways of knowing, this is that kind of part of the magic that I keep speaking of in the Greenwich gardening, adding the connection, the nature spirituality, all these terms. It's more of a nebulous kind of thing to talk about. But what I'd like to say is that I've had many experiences that are considered the opposite of science, although I think there's a lot of intersection there too. But, I've been in amazing rituals and ceremonies. Up the left top of the screen, you see this beautiful lit area, and that's a labyrinth. And I was part of one of those for Circle Sanctuary. They have something called Pagan Spirit Gathering, and they had this beautiful labyrinth. It was huge, like it could encompass, I don't know, maybe 100 people could be going through it. And it was all at night, lit by candles. And you start on the outside, and you usually, the idea is you think of something you want to work on, maybe a problem you have, you're looking for a solution, and you think of that all the way through the labyrinth. And by the time you get to the middle, you're, you know, supposed to like leave it there, get some guidance, and then walk your way back out through the labyrinth. And as you exit the labyrinth, then by then you're supposed to, you know, have some clarity as to what the situation is. It's also very meditative because they're usually done quietly. And in this case, one's at dark, so you're kind of reducing some of your senses there, and it's just a wonderful experience. It's probably the biggest labyrinth I've ever seen. It was big enough to let two, you know, to have like two different lanes going through the labyrinth at the same time. It's just a beautiful experience outside in nature. And then as you see another picture down on the bottom of the screen, you see some people holding hands. This would be my representation of some of the ceremonies and rituals I've done outside with people, honoring the seasons and just celebrating things together. And it's just a really interesting experience to have, really wonderful, beautiful thing to do in a group setting like that. Usually there's somebody kind of leading the activity, or a set of people leading the activity with song and you know, call and response. They say something, then you say, repeat it back, you know, just kind of like you would see in some traditional spiritual practices and religions too. So the other experiences I've had that I call other ways of knowing, this kind of intuition experience, spiritual experience, I've had the honor to be part of some sweat lodges, sacred fire circles. Those are really kind of more intense physical experiences that try to manifest a spiritual experience. I've been able to be part of and be witness to First Nation ceremonies and practices. So First Nation peoples are commonly known as Native American Indians, but kind of the more the term that's being used more and more right now is First Nations people, so different tribal groups out there. So I've got to have all sorts of experiences of my own and teachings from people from different backgrounds of spiritualities and non-science ways of knowing. And what I mean by ways of knowing is how do you obtain information about the environment around you besides a book, or besides having a lecture or things like that. So very much kind of connecting with the spiritual world, connecting with your intuition, trying to get information from plants without speaking words. So these are the experiences that I'm drawing on when I'm talking about green witch gardening and the magic and things like that.